These are people that have held high positions in our government. I'm just a regular guy living in Texas trying to make a living. These people don't say this crap. They don't say, I shouldn't call it crap, they don't say this stuff to hear themselves talk. They're not, you think they're making a joke? You think they're just saying it so somebody like me will quote it later? I mean, all of them? Here's James Madison. Okay, James Madison, another important figure in American history. History records that the money changers have used every form of abuse, intrigue, deceit, and violent means possible to maintain their control over governments by controlling money and its issuance. James Madison, that's not Rudy Davis, the nutcase living out in Texas. Andrew Jackson. Let's read a little quote from Andrew Jackson. If Congress has the right under the Constitution to issue paper money, it was given them to use themselves, not to be delegated to individuals or corporations. Congress represents the people of the United States. The Federal Reserve is not even an institution that is of the government. It's a public institution. It's private. The Federal Reserve had two purposes. One of them to protect our money supply, and the other one to print our money. That's the only two things that they were supposed to do. But they do a lot more than that now. You have to understand that the Federal Reserve is not part of the government. They don't represent you and I. They're not even elected officials. They're private individuals, and they have corrupted our entire system. Our entire system is screwed by the Federal Reserve. They have ruined every aspect of our lives, and they have ruined you and I because we no longer have an honest money system. Let's read a quote from Abraham Lincoln. The government should create, issue, and circulate all the currency and credits needed to satisfy the spending power of the government and the buying power of consumers. By the adoption of these principles, the taxpayers will be saved immense sums of interest. Money will cease to be master and become the servant of humanity. The government has to pay interest on the loans that it gets from the Federal Reserve, which the Federal Reserve just prints out of nothing. We've put ourselves in debt to these people for printing our money, and we have to pay interest. It's insane. It's insane what they're allowed to do. Theodore Roosevelt. Issuance of currency should be lodged with the government and be protected from domination by Wall Street. We are opposed to provisions which would place our currency and credit system in private hands. The Federal Reserve is private hands. The Federal Reserve does not have the interest of the United States, and they control the money. Even Theodore Roosevelt said we should get it back. Okay, I'm going to read this last quote. It's kind of long. This is a quote from the Illuminati. And this is when they did not think they were being taped. Junior executives of the global cabal, you have to understand what the word cabal is because they make up the Federal Reserve, of elites discuss the dawning manifestations of the Illuminati bosses. Here's the quote. We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended our meetings and respected their promises of discretion for almost 40 years. It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subjected to the lights of publicity during those years. What they're saying is, if you had shined a light on a cockroach, the cockroach wouldn't be able to do what it's doing and have to run for cover. But the world is now more sophisticated and prepared to march towards a world government, a world government, a world government. Do you understand what I'm saying? The supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers is surely preferable to the national auto-determination practiced in past centuries. David Rockefeller said that. He's one of the Illuminati. What he's saying is the supranational sovereignty. You're in our sovereignty. Sovereignty is the ability to control your own destiny. It's the ability to have an impact on the direction of your country that you live in. The supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers is surely preferable to the national auto-determination practice in past centuries. I read it twice. Do you understand what it's saying? It's saying that they think they would make better leaders of our destiny than we will. If you're a free man and you're sitting out there thinking that you want to be responsible for your life and you do not want to be a slave to anyone else, you need to wake up and understand what the Federal Reserve is all about. Don't just trust me. Read The Creature from Jekyll Island. There's another book out there called Hope and Tragedy. Just search Google for the Federal Reserve and you're going to find information about this. Okay, I'm going to continue to read what this David Rockefeller said. Today, Americans would be outraged if UN troops entered Los Angeles to restore order. Tomorrow, they will be grateful. When times get tough and we enter a depression and public is crying out for order, they will kiss the boots of the politicians that bring in United States troops to restore order in this country. And these people they're going to bring in have nothing to do with this country. This is especially true if they were told that there was an outside threat from beyond, whether real or promulgated, that threatened our very existence. It is then that all peoples of the world will plead with the world leaders to deliver them from this evil. The one thing every man fears is the unknown. When presented with this scenario, individual rights will be willingly relinquished for the guarantee of their well-being granted to them by world government. Henry Kissinger, speaking at Evian, France, May 21st, 1992. His speech was taped by a Swiss delegate unbeknownst to Kissinger. I'm going to wrap it up in the next video.